What's up and welcome. This is Karl from Pickup, and today we're going to be diving into our top 10 moments in jazz guitar history.
When I look at someone like Wes, the thing that hits me is like, so easy. This is.
He's just feeling it.
Yeah.
It's like conversation. He's not like learning the language. He's just like speaking the language.
My friends and I in college I would play a Benson lick and they'd go, Nick's playing his fanny pack licks again. And one of the best guitar players of our era.
I'm joined today by Sam Blakelock, the founder of Pickup Jazz, and Nick Veinoglou, aka the Donut Doctor, one of the top call guitarists in LA.
So we've looked painstakingly through our top albums, our top songs, and these are our top 10 moments, and we're going to go through them in chronological order from the OGs all the way to some modern ladies and men.
Let's get right into number one. This is the night that Django Reinhardt's wagon caught on fire and it burned his fingers. We're not talking about an album, we're not talking about a solo or a song, I'm talking about that moment. But before we talk about the moment, let's watch the clip. What is just so interesting is how much of an impact he had on so many guitar players. Charlie Christian, Wes Montgomery, B.B. King, Chet Atkins. He's doing so much like vibrato and bends that I don't think a lot of other guitar players were doing, and I think it's because he was compensating. Like, he can't play all these like fancy kind of bar chords and stuff. Yeah. So he's like, well, how do I make my guitar playing interesting? So one thing I thought I could try to do today is I actually learned one of his two-finger licks, and I wanted to teach you guys a two-finger Django lick.
It's not that crazy chromatic one, is it? Because I've tried that for years.
It's not that one. It's not the one that we saw in the clip. Here, check it out. So this is in the key of B, right? And it's basically like a B6 kind of shape. So if you think of like your B6 chord, he bends from the 6 like this. Then down the minor, right? And then he goes chromatic with that first finger.
With that first finger the whole way?
Oh!
Yeah, because you can't do this.
What? Because the finger's not there. You don't have it. It's like skipping with one leg, like da-da-da-da.
Yeah, totally.
So we all know Wes, he's the GOAT, and this is my favorite moment, which is Gone with the Wind from The Incredible Jazz Guitar, 1960. So with you guys, I want to do a little thing where we go through the 3 stages approach, which Wes is known for, which is start out with single notes, move to octaves, also with the thumb, and then ending with the block chords.
Oh yeah.
A la big band or like piano, Errol Garner type things. Let's check out the first clip.
So bouncy. It's just, feel is just
perfect.
Emanating from every note. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and Wes, I always think of him smiling. He's just like looks like a happy person. I don't know him personally, but like it's just so easy. It's like the music just flows through him. Like we all study jazz guitar, and like it's such an academic thing to study and go to college for. But when I look at someone like Wes, the thing that hits me is like, so easy. This is.
He's just feeling it.
Yeah.
It's like conversation. He's not like learning the language. He's just like speaking the language.
Let's go to the second stage of a classic Wes solo, which is octaves. So he would do the octaves with the thumb, and I think that's a bit easier and more accurate than using a pick.
When you hear the octaves, it's definitely, at least with jazz guitar, it's kind of like a thing, you know? Some people love it, some people hate it.
I personally have never been an octave fan. I think it sounds good when other people do it, but it's one of those things that when I do it, I just can't get the sound right, or it doesn't feel right, and I also can't play them that fast. Like that one line where he's playing like an almost bebop line at full tempo with octaves, like it's a little cheese for me.
All right, let's go into the third and final stage. This is when the crowd is on their feet, pumping their fists. It's the block chord solo. Let's check it out.
I remember hearing this for the first time thinking, oh, like that's what a piano player does. It sounds like a piano player like Errol Garner. He would play every melody note, every freaking note in his solo could have a chord behind it. And I was like, wow, that must only be a piano player thing. And then I heard it done on guitar, I was like, whoa.
Classic Wes move to like stage his solos like that.
Next up, 1961, Grant Green, What Is This Thing Called Love? He's my personal favorite guitarist. Let's check out this moment. The things I love about Grant Green is he's so agile across the fretboard. Like, I think a lot of guitarists, we listen to them and they kind of seem a bit stuck within their specific techniques or a specific style, but he's that one guitarist, first of all, who's really easy to transcribe, like very learnable. I find someone like Wes, or we'll talk about Joe Bass in a second, like it's kind of like untouchable. They're kind of like this iconic prodigy, but Grant Green is, I feel like he's the guitarist. Part of what is great about his playing is he reuses the same material, so those same licks, but in different places. So it's kind of like you can learn these reused parts of his playing and then level up your vocabulary, which is, of course, what jazz is all about.
Tonally, it's interesting to hear Wes's example back to back. I mean, you just immediately hear that sharpness of like, I think he used, well, obviously he's using a pick, but also like thinner strings and a brighter tone.
Single coil.
But also feel-wise and where he's placing his notes on the beat is like either on or like maybe on top of the beat a little bit, whereas Wes is always behind a little bit.
So number 4, this is my all-time favorite guitarist. His name is Lenny Breau. A lot of people don't know about him, but he was freaking amazing, and let's just have the clip speak for itself. Obviously, freaking amazing, right? And this is just like a drop in the ocean of what Lenny Breau is capable of. But this specific clip highlights one of my favorite techniques that I would debate he more or less pioneered. I know Ted Green, a lot of other players from this time frame kind of also did this harmonic technique, but he really mastered the harmonic technique. He could do it at will on any chord shape, any song, and he would figure out a way to use it musically. There's recordings of him doing classical tremolo, literally, while doing harmonics as well, and he's doing tremolo with these 3 fingers. He's pushing the instrument forward in a way that no one has done because he's, in my opinion, inventing new techniques.
I can't agree with you more. I'm like a huge Lenny Breau fan. He studied so many different styles of music, and that creeps into his playing. I mean, he studied flamenco, he studied classical, he studied finger picking. I mean, he was really tight with like Chet Atkins, and it all comes out.
All of it. I'm pretty sure in this song, the whole thing, there's like some classical part of it where it literally sounds like a Bach, like sonata or something, and then it goes into full jazz, like Wes Montgomery, like block chords, and then it goes to everything in between.
Waterfall harmonics is something that I've always struggled with, so why don't you give me a quick lesson?
Yeah, okay. It's one of those things that looks hard, but it's actually really easy. So way I start out, just bar the 5th fret, and then with your right hand, right, we're used to doing harmonics like that, right? Like we use this finger, this hand, right? But since our finger here is already busy, we have to use our right hand. So just imagine whatever you're playing, in this case, we're just barring the 5th fret. Imagine this 12 frets higher, so it would be all the way up there, right, at the 17th fret. You're gonna take your pointer finger and it's gonna hover over exactly 12 frets higher. You're not fretting it, you're just hovering with the same pressure you would if I told you to play your 12 fret harmonics, right? Now, with that lined up, you're gonna use your thumb underneath and you're gonna pluck, which gives you the harmonic, right? Now what he would do is he would combine a harmonic using his ring finger. He would play 2 strings higher. So you're gonna hit the harmonic in the low E and then play the D string. And then you'd ascend and descend. And then he would add in other notes on top using hammer-ons and pull-offs. And then he'd move it around like you could do it with chords. I haven't done it in a while, but you get the idea.
It's so cool to see you do that in person instead of this grainy ass video. Like that's so cool.
All right, let's fast forward to 1973. This is Joe Pass, All the Things You Are, from the album Virtuoso.
Classic. Totally innovative, totally really kind of pushing the boundary of solo guitar. You know, like when I think of Joe Pass, I think of the ultimate solo guitar, right? When it comes to kind of the traditional jazz sense, like I don't know that he harmonically was pushing as many boundaries as like Ted Green or Lenny Breau or some of the other people, but the way he structured his arrangements were very like, I don't want to call it radio friendly for the time, but it was very like, you're getting the song.
Yeah, Joe Pass to me is like walking into a buffet. He's got, you know, all the food is there, everything's there, all the notes are there, all the chords are there. For some people, this can be a bit off-putting because, you know, there's a lot of notes, right? But Joe Pass for me is like this world of sound and chords and moves that you can go in and just grab a little bit.
Okay, next up, I probably have somewhat of a controversial figure for us to talk about, Mr. George Benson. Why did I pick this as a top 10 moment? Because of the impact that the Breezin' album had at the time. Just tell me, what are your emotions? What are you feeling?
I'm thinking, what do my partner's parents think when they think of jazz?
Yeah.
That.
I mean, same. You know, you think of Benson as kind of like the sellout in jazz, if you will, right? My friends and I in college I would play a Benson lick and they'd go, Nick's playing his fanny pack licks again. and it was their kind of way because, you know, they were all like Charlie Parker heads and more traditional jazz, and they would be like, he sold out. Like, he would wear these flashy clothes, he played an Ibanez, he won a Grammy, he got platinum on the pop charts. There's two ways to look at it, right? One could argue, yeah, he like sold out and started playing fanny pack jazz, you know, and got on the charts. Or the other side of the argument is he pushed jazz to a more commercial area, giving it more light and taking more people into the jazz world, which is a good thing.
Definitely check out those OG organ trio albums though, with the Jack McDuff one. That stuff is cooking, yeah.
All right, next up we have Lionel Loueke, who, and this is a bit of a selfish one because this is for sure like one of my personal top 10 jazz guitar inspirations or just people that I really got into. The thing that I love about him and his playing, especially at the time when I was studying jazz, it felt so fresh to me.
First thing I noticed is, you know, aside from like the kind of pseudo beatbox, whatever you want to call it, singing along with the lines, it's like kind of almost a little head nod to Benson because he would do that all the time.
For me, this is good listening and appreciating music. I don't know if I'd like touch that in terms of trying to learn it, or you know, I probably can't do the drums and play it guitar.
So next guy is one of my favorite more modern players. His name's Julian Lage. I'm sure everyone has heard of him by now. This video I found a long time ago. It's him playing in some bar somewhere. I don't know really the history behind the video, but I consider this one of the greatest top 10 moments in jazz guitar history because it's so like pure in the moment. Like, we're talking about moments. This was a moment. Roll the clip.
Wow. Oh my God. Never heard someone play like that.
Never heard someone play like that.
Nobody plays like that, really.
Yeah. And you can tell, like, too, there's so many, like, authentic, in-the-moment things happening. It's just him and the bass player, so he obviously has all this freedom, you know, with the time, with what harmony he's using. And you can tell he's, like, really engineering it and surprising himself in some different spots in the song. One of the things I love most about Julian's playing is you can listen to him play the same song over the years, even, like, the same night if he's doing two sets. And it's
genuinely completely different, you know? He's never playing the same thing twice.
If you have a thought at any point in time, you can just, you know how to speak, so you can just communicate that. Guitar is the same thing for him. Like, he's mastered it in such a way that if he hears it, he can instantly play it.
Can I ask you guys a question? What do you think about the smile?
I think it looks like he's having fun. He's like filled with joy. I had the opportunity to meet him. I used to work at Carnegie Hall, and he's just like that. He's just the happy person.
He's like a happy, quiet, humble guy. I like the smile. He's happy. This is one of the guys where I realized, oh, you don't have to be like miserable, sad, and depressed to play jazz. Yeah, this next guitarist is someone who's actually in the pickup ecosystem, one of the best guitar players in LA. I would say like of our era, Ariana Powell. Every time I hear one of her new chord melodies, like I get inspired. What I find specifically interesting about her harmony is it's such a mix of like traditional, some block chord stuff like from the West time, some more Ted Green, Lenny Breau, bigger, thicker chords, and then also some like Mateus Sasato, double stop, modern-ish sounding, you know, some gospel lines, but it's not like obvious at any point. It's like, oh, well, she's doing this now. Oh, she's jumping to this, you know?
Yeah, I kind of put you in a similar bag as her. Like, you're both like pro touring LA guitar players who know how to put on a show and like do the rock thing, shred. But you also have this deep foundation of like jazz and chord melodies, and it's cool to see people like you or Ariana who can do both. You know, you don't just have to be a jazz guitarist that sits in your room all the time. You can play a big gig, and then you can enjoy, you know, like sitting with a fine bit of whiskey or wine and just write a chord melody at home as well. It's okay to do both. If you want to learn to play like Ariana, we have a chord melody arranging class with her, and she's in a bunch of our learning pathways, teaching and performing songs which you can learn.
So we've reached the end here. This one is that I feel like I'm going to get the most heat for. This is a guitarist, a rapper named Catriel. Him and Paco Amoroso had a Tiny Desk video that at the time of this recording today was released 2 weeks ago, and it has 6.6 million views already.
Yeah, I listened to that. It's great. I'm fascinated to hear about this because, yeah, I saw this over my TikTok feed. So what's the story?
Catriel is like a rapper, like I said, in his own right. He's also a guitarist, grew up playing metal. His dad was a guitar player. He went to music school, studied jazz, you know. And then Paco Amoroso is the guy wearing the sweet hat that I really want for Halloween this year. He's an artist in his own right too. And so they have their own followings, but then they made an album together, which is a lot of this music. I mean, this whole performance just like, it's like the first time that you saw the Anderson .Paak Tiny Desk.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the same feeling that it had for me. It was like, what is happening? But then this solo came up and he hadn't really been playing guitar yet. And I was just like, oh my God. You know, it's not necessarily a crazy jazz solo, and so that's why I think I'm gonna get some heat, but there's nods to jazz guitar history in his solo. And the fact that this has 6.6 million views, like, and it got released 2 weeks ago, I feel like it's like looking forward to what jazz guitar
is going, where it's going.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not like he's gonna release a jazz album, but it's cool that I thought it was really inspiring and cool how he's using jazz language and phrasing.
Singing along with the solo too.
I think the music direction on this live performance was so outstanding. Like the rap in the song, that's cool. I'm gonna go check out their music. But whoever the arranger was, if you know who it is, drop a comment. Like, I don't even know the original songs because I'm like coming to this as a jazz guitar player. But the whole performance is great.
All right, thank you so much, guys, for doing that. Thank you for watching. That was our top 10 moments in jazz guitar history. Now, again, this was our favorite moments. I know that we left a lot of things out.
So if you think of your favorite moment in jazz, please comment below and share it with us.